Recording in
Good
progress.
time. Hi folks, thank you so much for streaming. This episode of Yumio to Ohanashi features the author of the Drift series, Casie Aufenthie from North Dakota. Thanks for joining me here, Casie. So can you briefly introduce yourself?
Hey, my name is Casie Aufenthie, as he just said, and I am the author of the Drift series, which is a sci-fi fantasy romance.
Sci-fi and romance, I see.
Yeah.
And how about the, first of all, can you share your latest accomplishment or a temporary goal that you want to reach?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually just finished the first draft of the final book of the trilogy. So the goal is to get that published this fall. And then the second book is actually going to have an audiobook released in the next few months.
I see. So can you briefly describe the Drift series?
Yeah. So I like to market it as a futuristic Romeo and Juliet meets X-Men. So it's
Romeo
in the
and Juliet
distant,
X-Men, I see.
yeah. So it's set in the distant future where the human race has evolved and there are now three subspecies. There are the normal folks like you and me, and then there are people who have developed mentally, so they are telekinetic, they have telepathy, they're psychic, things of that nature. And then there are the physically evolved, so they have super speed, super strength. Their highest level can even regenerate and control whether their hearing is louder or softer or things like that, adjust their eyes for night vision.
And you have those characters that can generate those laser beam from the eyes.
No, but I should. That'd be fun.
like the Cyclops in X-Men. I forgot the character name. I see.
Yeah.
So there are many species. It sounds like pretty similar to the Japanese anime style because there are so many transformative characters intertwined. So is it like the multiple character story or there's a protagonist with a single view?
It is a dual point of view.
Dual.
So it has our Juliet, which is actually the physically evolved character. She's an assassin. People like to joke because she can regenerate that she's the Wolverine character. And then the other point of view is my male protagonist, and he's what they call the Professor X. He's the mentally evolved, psychic, telekinetic, things like that.
So these two protagonists, they are going to kind of conflict with each other, but in the end, they're gonna kind of getting a friendship or something.
So it's actually a love story. So they are the Romeo and Juliet. And so in the first story, she's actually sent on a mission to essentially seduce him away from this resistance that he's leading. Well, of course, it's a love story. She falls in love with him for real. But then his past catches up to him, and he ends up having to make a really devastating choice at the end of the book, and they get torn apart.
I see, because sometimes those love romance, the great spices, try to fight these two characters each other. Yes. Okay. So when did you discover the joy of writing?
I was actually about 6 years old,
6, wow.
and we had a project for school where we were supposed to write a Christmas story that we were going to be reading to the elderly in a nursing home. And so I had never really written a story before, but I had a lot of fun with it. And I wrote about this naughty elf who was causing trouble in Santa's workshop because he was kind of mad that all the presents were other kids.
I see. Naughty elf, I see. And that was 6 years old. Yes.
Yeah. So I read it to these group, and it was actually a group of older men, and they were laughing, and they were like, "Oh, that's so cute, and that's so clever." And getting that reaction and connecting with people through what I had written became really addicting. And to this day, that's why I write.
That was your very first successful experience, because when I think the point when we become a writer is when we experience kind of a success or kind of a good feedback. For instance, I challenged the screenwriting contest, and the first year was terrible, got lots of bad feedback. But second year and third year, it's getting better and better, and start getting the placement. So I think those kind of a successful experience makes us pretty much stronger, I think. I see.
Absolutely.
And which genre do you think you're good at?
I always thought I was good at the romance part and the relationship part, but what's kind of funny is the feedback I've gotten from readers is that they really like the action sequences.
Oh.
They think that those are really believable and really intense, and those tend to be the standout moments for a lot of my readers, which I thought was interesting because I
Oh.
was like, oh, I didn't know that I was good at that.
Yes, sometimes we cannot never know which genre we're good at, but those readers' feedback are always honest. So I think that is a great thing to for you to discover it. And how do you brainstorm when composing new scenes, dialogues, and so on?
So my family thinks I'm a little bit wacky because I will literally act them out.
Mhm.
So I'm sitting in the room
Mhm.
talking and essentially pretending to be several people at once and wandering
Mhm.
around my room and doing the movements and doing the actions and trying to like really get into that character's
Ha
head.
ha
And
ha ha.
that's the easiest way I find of like, oh, he would say this and he would be doing this or she would be saying this. And when he says this, it's going to make her mad.
Aw,
And so
so
I will literally act out the whole scene if I'm stuck.
I see. So you're not just writer, but you're also actress, I think.
Yeah, not a good one.
I see. And what was your major influence?
My major influence was actually my dad.
Oh, mm-hmm,
So when I was little, my parents always made a point of reading to me at night, but my
mm-hmm,
dad had
mm-hmm,
this really cool idea where he would always change whatever story he was reading to me.
mm-hmm,
So if it was Cinderella, she was
mm-hmm.
the evil one, and she was just kind of whining about
Oh,
everything that was happening because how dare they ask her to do things.
mm-hmm.
And so he would put these funny little spins on things, and it
Oh,
taught me that even though there's an idea that's already been done, you
mm-hmm.
can always make it your own, and you can
Yes,
always
yes.
put your own
Mm-hmm.
perspective on it. And he really fostered that
Oh,
creativity in me. And he was also the one who got me really involved in, reading classic fantasy and sci-fi. And,
mm-hmm.
he had me reading Lord of the Rings by the time I was
Uh-huh.
in like third grade.
Oh, I
So the
see.
fact that he gets to see and read my published work now is just, I could give me a tear.
I see. It's kind of like thrilling for you to have your books to your dad. And was your dad a writer or a kind of a different job he did?
No, he's actually a computer IT type
Oh, really?
guy.
IT type, I see. But he was very creative to those kind of make those different story from the basic one to a different one. I see. Yes,
Yeah, very
that's
much.
pretty.
Like he still does that even
Mhm.
now with my daughter. They'll
Oh,
they'll
really?
go downstairs and they'll play make
Mm-hmm.
believe, and he comes up with these fantastic stories that just really
Uh-huh.
get her creative juices flowing too. It's so special.
I see. How about are you a pantser, plotter, or prancer?
I'm more of I'm a plantser.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of know the major plot points,
Mm-hmm.
but then the characters tell me how to get there. And sometimes they end up not wanting to do what I think they should do, and I have to follow their path.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I get really horrible writer's block.
I see. Yes, because I'm kind of studying novel writing right now, and as you can see, the Save as a Cat writes a novel is on the back of it, and this book helped me a lot because first I have to compose this beat sheet, and then beat sheet following the beat sheet and makes the story more clarifying and like that. And how about when you compose? How do you compose your characters and dialogues?
So the characters are very often a mixture of people that I've known or characters that I've seen before. But even if I try to model them after someone, they always end up through the process of drafting, kind of telling me who they are. And there's always this aha moment where they start speaking to me. And that sounds kind of odd to people who aren't writers.
That's
But in
writer's
the
disease.
first book, I actually had a very clear idea of who I wanted the male protagonist to
Mhm,
be, and he
mhm,
literally was like, "No, that's not
mhm,
who I am. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to do that."
mhm.
And pretty soon I was like, "Oh, okay." And I started kind of listening to that. I don't know if it's your gut instinct or what it is that
Yes, we
has
follow
these
instinct.
fictional people
Yes, yes.
talking to you.
Mhm.
But once I listened to him, the
Mhm,
story flew and people adore him,
mhm,
and
mhm,
it just really worked out. And so that's kind of what I do for most characters. I start with an idea and
mhm.
then just kind of
Let it
let
flow.
them flow and
Yes,
just kind of listen to them.
in that way, the dialogues become pretty organic, and that's what I do too. But I sometimes feel funny when I try to compose female character dialogues, and I try to utter those words in Japanese. Okay, and how about action scenes? How do you compose your action sequence? Do you imagine your brain first, or you have another way to do that?
So I usually have a scene in my head, And I'm like, how do I translate to this to other people? And so I'll find a similar scene that actually was done in a TV show or a movie, and I'll watch it over and over and over again. And I'll try to pay attention to the main points that as a viewer I'm picking up on, because you can't put every single he punched here, she kicked there. And so I'm like, what am I noticing as a viewer that's really standing out? And so I'll pick a few moves that seem really intense or really interesting, and I'll try to convey those. But then the rest, I just focus on what are they feeling? How scared are they? Are they in pain? And that kind of gets the adrenaline going a little bit.
Adrenaline. Yeah, that is a great keyword because yeah, when we kind of writing very enthusiastically and focused, I think adrenaline kind of rushes us to write more and kind of read more and try to imagine the brain and try to visualize that. Yes, I think one author I interviewed, I forgot he or she, but he or she said they already have the camera angle to like. Thinking about the camera angle too and try to recreate the scenes in more dynamic way so that each sentence and each paragraph goes kind of in a group, I think. I see. How about your favorite films, TV, music, or any type of audiovisual entertainment?
So my favorite TV show of all time is probably the original Charmed. Actually, one of the characters inspired my first book. They kind of were my muse for, oh, I want to know more about this character, and they didn't talk about it in the TV show. So that was inspiring for my story. Also, a big fan of the TV show Friends, Gilmore Girls. I love the snappy dialogue in that and the quirky characters. And I think that's probably why some of my characters are a little bit out there.
Yes, the recent drama I watched through Netflix, and I was pretty impressed was The Good Place. Because the Good Place was on air in like 2016, but it has like only 4 seasons, but each season is well composed and with a unique characters and unique dialogue, and that's one of the TV drama I really loved because I usually don't watch TV drama. How about the feature film? Any kind of a feature romance film that you can recommend? Romance
Romance. I love Stardust.
one. Stardust.
Classic Princess Bride. As you see, I kind of tend toward the fantasy ones.
I see. Okay, so we're kind of getting running out of time soon. So let's wrap up. So any message to those watching this interview?
So I think for anyone, whether you're a writer or you have a different dream, I think it's just really important to never ever give up on that.
Exactly.
Even if it's hard, even if sometimes it hurts, truly achieving that dream is so worthwhile, and it really makes your life have a meaning that you didn't even know that you needed.
Yes, and I think the writing is pretty much a great creative work that you can discover a lot because I started writing activity just 3 or 4 years ago. Then I discovered a lot of things and started Twitter again and got to know with great writers like you through Twitter. And yes, I experience a lot of great things right now. And finally, what is the most encouraging phrase that you recite when you want to pump up your motivation or crawl out from rock bottom?
So kind of along the same vein, it's a quote from Langston Hughes. It's hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly.
I see. That is kind of too profound for me right now to comprehend. I have to.
Sorry.
I have to listen this interview
I was a
back.
lit major. Sorry.
Yeah, and I tried to Google that one. So, okay, so thank you very much, Casie. Her book is called The Drift Series. So, folks, if you're interested in Casie, please pick her works and follow her account at CASIEAU. Truly appreciate your participation in this comment, Casie. So wish you great success and we'll keep in touch.
Thank you.